Alright, let's fire up the engine and get into it. Today we're decoding one of the great post-war poems, Thom Gunn's iconic On the Move. You know, this line, "Man, you gotta go," was actually the poem's original epigraph. It's pure beat generation, right? And it just perfectly captures this restless, urgent energy of 1950s America. That feeling, it's really the engine that drives every single line we're about to look at. So this really sets up the central question for us, doesn't it? How are we supposed to see these famous motorcyclists? Are they just rebels without a cause? Or are they something more? Maybe like knights on a modern quest, desperately searching for meaning in a world that's kind of lost all its signposts. Okay, poets, poem, and premise. To really get this poem, you've got to understand the world it came out of. So let's set the scene. Post-war America. He's actually an English guy who moves to California and just becomes fascinated with this fringe, outsider culture. And he's writing this in the 1950s, right after World War II, a time that was just simmering with this rebellion against conformity. You gotta picture Marlon Brando in The Wild One. That's the image. The motorcyclist as the ultimate symbol of defiance. And bubbling under all of this is this huge philosophical movement, existentialism, which is basically asking this massive question. If there's no built-in meaning to life, well, how do we make it for ourselves? All right, stanza 1, nature's certainty. Now, what's really interesting is that the poem doesn't kick off with the bikers. Nope, it starts with nature. And right away, Gunn sets up this incredibly powerful contrast between the absolute certainty of the natural world and the total confusion of humanity. He describes this blue jay, and for Gunn, birds are never just moving randomly. Their actions are guided by this clear, built-in instinct. They follow what he calls a hidden purpose, something they never ever have to second-guess. And this is the central conflict, right here in the first stanza. You've got the birds, driven by pure instinct, possessing this hidden purpose. And then you have us. Man, we're guided by a baffled sense, lost in approximate words. We don't have that instinct, that natural grace. So we're just left confused and kind of clumsy. So, stanza 2, the boys arrive. And right into this world of human confusion, they show up, the bikers. Gunn introduces them in this amazing, almost cinematic way, starting with this wide shot, and then zooming right in for a dramatic close-up. So at first we see them way off in the distance, and honestly, it's not a flattering image at all. He says they're small, black as flies. I mean, that's so impersonal, almost like they're pests. It's one of the only still images in the whole poem, them just hanging in heat, which gives you this sense of unpleasant, pent-up energy. But then suddenly they rush right at us. That distant hum bulges to thunder. The whole image becomes so physical, so powerful, almost sensual. They're not just riding these things. They are completely one with them, controlling all that thunderous power with their bodies, literally held by calf and thigh. So then Gunn really starts to dissect their whole psychology. You've got the uniform, the goggles, the leather jackets, which makes them the single impersonal unit. The dust on their jackets, that's like a badge of honor, a trophy from their travels. But, and this is the absolute key, it's all a front. He says they strap in doubt by hiding it robust. That tough exterior is an armor against their own uncertainty. The noise, the speed, the leather, it's all just a way to drown out the doubt. They can almost hear a meaning in all that noise, but it's not quite there. Okay, stanza 3, machine and soul. And this is where the biker's man-made world collides head-on with nature, which leads to one of the most important philosophical moments in the whole poem. This is the moment of confrontation, right here. The thunder from the bike scares a flock of birds, and they scatter. And the takeaway is powerful. Much that is natural to the will must yield. Human will, even with all its imperfections and uncertainty, just overpowers natural instinct. The message is pretty stark. When we decide to move, Nature has to get out of the way. And that line leads right into this absolutely crucial idea. See, unlike birds, we humans have to make everything for ourselves. Gunn says we manufacture both machine and soul. Think about that. We build our tools, sure, but we also have to build our own values, our own meaning. And yeah, we control them imperfectly. But it's all we have to try and carve out some kind of future from the paths we've taken. All right, stanzas 4 and 5, movement as meaning. This is it. This is the philosophical climax of the poem. Gunn has laid out the problem, right? We humans don't have that built-in instinct, that natural purpose. So now he's going to offer us a kind of answer. And it all comes down to this massive existential question. In a valueless world, how do we find any purpose? If there's no pre-written script, no divine plan, no absolute in which to rest, what are we supposed to do? How do you even begin to live a meaningful life? Now, Gunn is a realist. He knows there isn't some simple, easy fix for this. He calls what the bikers are doing a part solution. It's not the whole answer for sure. But for creatures like us, who don't have that direct instinct, well, it's a way forward. And here's what that solution looks like. You just embrace motion. The line, till both hurler and the hurled, is so brilliant. It means you're both the one in control, actively throwing yourself forward. But you're also being carried along by forces that are way bigger than you. It's about finding that sweet spot between your own will and the uncontrollable flow of life. This comparison here really nails the difference. So you've got saints and birds on one side. They have a clear destination. Saints have faith in God. Birds have the instinct to survive. They can actually complete their purposes. But the bikers, they represent us, modern humanity. And we don't have an endpoint like that. They literally cannot stop, because for them, the meaning isn't about arriving somewhere. It's found entirely in the journey itself. And this all builds to the poem's unforgettable final lines. At worst, one is in motion. You know, at the very least, moving is better than being stuck. But at best, even though you'll never reach some final absolute truth to rest in, you are always nearer by not keeping still. Just by refusing to be stagnant, you're getting closer to something. So what's the bottom line here? It's this. The journey is the destination. For Thom Gunn and for these bikers, when you live in a world that doesn't hand you a map or a